Hi,
How you doing?
Khaled. How are you? I'm trying to
Good. How
sort
you
out
doing?
my lighting. It's-
It's nice and bright out today.
I know, but I have I have a nice bright room, but then if it's too bright, it'll wash me out. So let's see if I can tilt this a bit, if that works. Maybe that's better.
Yeah, you look good. So, a lot of questions. Yeah, I was outside today. Have you been to Square One?
No, no, I haven't. No, I've been too busy, but I was going to go check it out. I know you have to do a screening to go in, and they do have an app that you can do your screening
Oh, really?
on it. Yeah, you have because you're going to get screened going in. Assume you were screened. You were asked questions about how you feel, if you have a fever, if any symptoms, blah blah, and you can do that on an app before you go in. That's what I was
I
going
was
to do.
I was in line for 1 minute and I left. I was like, I'm not. I don't. It's not worth it. So,
You get screened when you go to the door, or you can have already done it on your phone.
oh, okay, okay.
And
So,
they're certainly monitoring. There
yeah,
may be a long lineup outside, but they know exactly how many people are inside, and they are monitoring very closely. 25%, right?
yep. So, I didn't go in though. I
No,
just
I haven't
enjoyed.
been in either. I
I
haven't been
just
in. I'll wait
walked.
till things calm down. Everybody's excited about going out again. It was such a beautiful day. I did go for a walk. I had to do a mask delivery. We had the Ontario Sikh Motorcycle Association and the United Sikhs donated 30,000 masks to Peel Public Health, which was wonderful. They're going to be donating, I think, 120,000 total in Ontario and 700,000 in Canada. And so we did the mask delivery drop off. And then I came home and I had a few extra minutes. So I went for a little walk on the waterfront trail just to
Oh,
get some
nice.
fresh air. I know I've been working really late. And so I thought it'd be really nice to be out in daylight hours and get some sunshine. And it's so warm
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
Although
You've been.
oh my gosh, I know. Yesterday was very, very late, starting with International Women's Day, right, with Hazel, right? And
Yeah.
then we had planning that went late into the night. So it was a very, very long day.
Cool. A lot of questions to get at.
Great.
Okay, so when do you think we'll get into the red zone?
I got the numbers early because I knew you would want to. So
Yeah, go ahead.
the numbers look good
Okay,
For Mississauga.
but we're in bed with Brampton.
That will be an ask. That will have to be an ask to move us
Okay,
forward. That will have to
okay,
be an ask. So let's go through the numbers because we always
okay.
do that, and they are hot off the press.
All
They
right.
literally just arrived in my inbox about 5 minutes ago, and because I specifically asked Dr. Lowe if I could have them before 4 o'clock, so I would have them for you.
You tell me you're talking to me.
I did. So he did it for you because you knew. All right. So Mississauga is, do you remember how many cases we had per 100,000 last week, Khaled?
I think it was 80.
74. We'd gone up one from the week before. We had 73. We had 74. And today we have 63.
63. Okay, cool.
Entry into the red zone is 40.
Yes. And sorry. And what do we have for Peel then?
Okay, I'll get there. Oh, do you want
Okay,
to do
sorry.
the cases first? Okay, let's do the cases. Peel
Okay.
is 88.
Okay.
Okay. Caledon is 80. Brampton is 124.4, almost 125 cases per 100,000. And we're at 63, so we're literally half
So you are going to ask the
to carve out.
province for Mississauga to open in red outside of Peel?
To carve out. Hmm.
Yeah.
As long as Dr. Rowe feels we are ready, because of course we take our advice from Dr. Lowe, right?
Yeah.
But we have to look at the other indices too, and there are a couple, red flags,
Yeah.
but I think we can work around it. Let's see. So the reproductive number, the R factor that killed us last week, back down under 1.
Okay.
So that's really great news. It's 0.91. And even in Brampton, it's just 1. So they're almost there. Actually, Caledon's was a little bit higher, 1.12. That's the highest I've seen in a while. And then we've got the positivity rates. How many tests per 100,000, right? Positive. We're at 4.4. That's really good.
Okay.
We were 7.5, 8.5 not long ago. Caledon is 5.8, and Brampton's pretty good too, 6.5. But we also know that just could be lower testing too. Now,
So I
where there are concerns,
Go ahead.
are the variants. So we also know that in Peel we have 171 of the UK variant, 10 of the South African, and 2 of the Brazilian, and those 2 are in Mississauga. Oh, in fact, so are the South African. Everybody has the UK, but we're the ones that have the South African, the 10 cases, and the 2 of the Brazilian. And so that's problematic. But the rest of it, the numbers look really good. We're going to start saying, I know he's going to want to give it another week because he likes 2 weeks of data. But I know if I start planting that seed, if we are ready, we should not be held back. And then, we've heard also from small businesses, including the restaurants, the churches, that they prefer the capacity limits over the arbitrary only 10 people, so we'll have to talk about that when it's time to.
So I guess the procedure, lack of a better word, would be kind of going through Dr. Lowe to ask him to move Mississauga only to stage red or red zone, or are you going straight to the province?
So he makes the recommendation to Dr. Williams.
Okay.
And Dr. Williams advises the Premier, but I would think we would also take the tack that our council would pass a motion and send it over to the Premier.
Okay. So there is a chance that we might be in red zone before Brampton then? There's a good chance?
If they would allow it. The only other precedent of moving, separating out a region was Windsor and Essex, if you recall. They had the temporary foreign workers working in the farms that they kept back and let Windsor go forward. So that's the only precedent I've seen. But it is unfair. I mean, their numbers are double ours, correct? They're double ours. So that's really unfair to us. And we're next to Oakville and they're open, right?
Yeah. I was at a Starbucks on Dundas, right by Oakville. So on one side was a Leon's that was closed, and on the other side there was a Best Buy that was fully open. So
that's what I've been talking about. That's what hurts the most. And those retailers, those restaurateurs, they feel it. They look on the south side of the street, which is Oakville, which is completely open for business, all the retail shopping and the restaurants. Meanwhile, we're shuttered on the north side of the same street because it's Mississauga. That's fundamentally unfair and inequitable, and that's the message we've been saying. And I've been saying that on wider media that when I've been interviewed, explaining that Dundas Street, Winston Churchill corner, and what that looks like for people. That's fundamentally unfair. So yes, we're tied to Brampton with respect to our public health unit, but we're connected to Oakville with respect to our trading area and shopping and dining. Yeah, they're open, and their numbers aren't moving, and we both know that we have people going there.
True. I was loitering in the parking lot having a coffee outside. Yeah, sorry. So let me ask this. I know, so Amazon had an outbreak.
That's right.
And so did obviously Canada Post, right? And Peel Public Health keeps these facilities' identities kind of secret.
Yep.
Until until the media finds out who they are, right?
Well, some of them self-report. Some of them self-report. Certainly, Canada Post went public.
Yep. Is this right? We're talking about Amazon. It's public transit that is affected, which affects the public, right?
Right. So that is the concern of Brampton ATU, the bus drivers on the Brampton Zoom. And I think they have had a small outbreak among the bus drivers. And so a number of them have been asked to go for testing, or if not, then to go home and isolate for 14 days because there have been an outbreak on that route, I believe is the story. So our policy, and this comes from Dr. Lowe, is to maximize the cooperation of the organization or the business. Nobody wants to stigmatize the business. So what we want is their cooperation. So we want to go in and take a look at their procedures, whether they're following health guidelines, health protocols, and labor guidelines. We want to work with them, and we also want everyone to isolate and to go home and recover. So we find that we get their cooperation and assistance if they're not stigmatized, if they're not named. I mean, if they want to be named, they can go to public health, they can go to the media and report it if they like. Our policy, or Dr. Lowe's policy, frankly, is that if they are not public facing, and there's no risk to the public, and we can better gain their cooperation and help ensure that employees are safely go home and self-isolate and recover, and and go through all the protocols and ensure that they're following health practices and labor guidelines, then we don't reveal their names. That is the policy in Peel. There are other public health units, such as York, that have taken a different policy. I believe Toronto has just started to do so, but we've taken a different approach. It's worked for us. Now, if you look on our dashboard versus Toronto's, we have always broken out the workplace cases by sector. So you have been able to know historically, since almost the beginning, where the outbreaks have been by description of business, so by sector. So whether it was manufacturing, warehousing, whatever it might be.
How is there not a public health risk when public transit is involved? Isn't that a public health risk?
Mm-hmm. So that is the Amazon outbreak, but I was referring to whether it's a warehouse or let's call it a furniture manufacturer where there's no public facing, correct? So no one will ever, they're not interacting with members of the public. Okay. Public health can go in, shut them down, review protocols, send everyone home. That's understood. There's no risk to the general public. Certainly, with respect to the Amazon, and let's be clear, that's Brampton outbreak at the site in Brampton, and ATU drivers felt that they were exposed, and there are, I believe it was 3 ATU transit drivers that tested positive, and so they have asked the drivers to go and get tested, and there are drivers refusing to drive that route until things are, probably for a few weeks until we're certain that the risk has passed and that the 14-day period has passed. Okay. And I know that Amazon is doing their best. They're the ones employing the rapid testing, etc. So, I can certainly understand from ATU's perspective, they're concerned. But these are essential employees. I mean, how many packages have everyone on your street in your building have ordered, right? This is Amazon. Everyone's using them, and they are our essential workers, much like our grocery store employees are as well.
Okay. Let's talk about vaccinations. A lot of questions here. So I'm just going to run down the laundry list of vaccination questions here. Who can get vaccinated right now?
Right now, anyone over 80 and anyone who is a healthcare worker. Okay. And they're going through the essential list. Shoot, did I print that? Keep talking. Okay. I printed a bunch of stuff for you. There was a chart. And then by June, I don't know if I printed it. There is a framework, right? There is a framework. Right. Yeah. So over 80, and then we'll go over 70, over 60, etc. So if you can call public health, there's a phone number, or you can go online. And we do have an online registration system set up with Trillium Health Partners and with Peel Public Health, and you will get your vaccine. You can register for it. You can call for it. I do have a phone number too. Let me look for that. And I'm going to give that phone number 1 second as soon as I find it. And when the provincial system goes live on March 15th, it will be a little bit different. It'll be on a first come, first served basis. So meaning that if you're fit the cohort, which will be, over 80, over 70, whatever, you're a paramedic, ATU driver, educator, whatever they're defining as it's your turn, you're in the right category, you're in the right framework, you can call and get the next available appointment if you want it. So it could be, if you're in the cohort and you wanted to go to Scarborough or Peterborough for the next appointment, you could do that, or you could register on the Trillium Health Partners online registration system or call. Then certainly you would be eligible in Mississauga. We're going to keep our own system going, is my point. I'm just looking for that phone.
So, I think they said that people, there's a new vaccination center coming, right? Or there is one that's already set up by the airport. Did you take a tour of that?
International Center. No, I haven't taken a tour of that one. And interestingly, one of Toronto's vaccination sites is going to be Toronto Congress Center. So we're literally having 2 what, 5 kilometers apart from each other along Airport Road, right? There's Toronto Congress Center on Dixon Road, and then carrying on, going north on Airport Road is the International Center, where we have one of our sites. Oh, here's the phone number. I found the phone number. So if you want to call in, if you're over 80, your parents are over 80, and you want to get them registered and they don't have a computer, you don't have a computer or don't want to go online, you can call. You will get connected to Peel Public Health, and they will register you by phone to get your vaccine at one of our mass immunization centers. And the number is 905-791, I'll say it twice, 5202. Again, 905-791-5202. And that's our online booking system, 8 to 8.
And only for people over 80 right now.
That's it right now.
Okay. All right. So, and then all these vaccination sites in Mississauga and Peel are only open for people in Peel, correct?
That's correct. You have to check a box that you provide a postal code. You have to provide a postal code that you are in Mississauga, actually. Because Petroleum Health Partners and Peel Public Health is running them, and William Osler has their own as well. But when you register on the whatever it's called, COVAX or whatever it's called, the provincial system opens March 15th. You will be registered if you're a resident of Ontario, and you can sign up by appointment, but it's open anywhere. Okay,
awesome. So, and it's just postal code, you said?
Ours is.
Yeah.
Ours is, because I know I tried to register. I tried to register Veronica, who's 85, Mama.
Okay.
I tried to register Mom, and we got the right year. We got the postal code. Well, what we do have is hesitancy, vaccine hesitancy. I'm working on her. I'm working on her.
Tell her not to go on YouTube.
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
She spends a lot of time watching things on YouTube and on Facebook and etc., reading all that fake news, and then she comes to me and says, "Oh, you know what I heard today? You know what I saw?" And I said, "Stop reading that stuff, please, Mom."
Tell her to talk to Dr. Lowe. Okay.
Yeah, I have. I've got him calling her for sure.
So when Mississauga, Peel are on full tilt as far as vaccinations go within all the vaccine centers, how many do you expect to do per day?
I think it was, there was that number. It was quite high, and the numbers differed. So I want to say, so we have, let's call it, if they have enough supply, we're doing 200 an hour just at one of our sites at UTM, and we'll have the 4 centers up and running. So it's 800 an hour. So it's almost 1,000 an hour if we have the supply, right? So you're looking at almost 8,000 a day if we have the supply.
Okay. So if we have the supply, with my math, we could have everybody vaccinated in Mississauga in a month.
Well, I calculated 6 months because all of Peel, right? All of Peel. I'm just looking for hang on, keep talking.
What are you trying to do?
Oh, the framework that exists. Here it is.
Okay. Talking about vaccination centers, I guess with other regions, there's lineups being built, concerns about longer lineups with, kind of 80 plus in line. Has Mississauga's UTM had any issues like that?
Not yet. Certainly, they are experiencing some hesitancy as well. I think you saw that Hazel got vaccinated on Friday, and they certainly posted that, and that's great news. Okay, so the phase 1 is the congregate living for seniors, congregate settings, healthcare workers, adults in chronic care recipient, chronic home care, and over 80. Phase 2, which will start in April, adults 60 and over, in 5-year increments, high-risk congregate settings, community living, individuals with high-risk chronic conditions, those people who can't work from home, right? Okay. An at-risk population. So that starts April, going through July, and then phase 3, it's 59 years and younger.
Okay.
So it was basically everybody else.
Okay. So by June then? Yep.
By June. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. So over 80 is March, over 75 and over April, and probably 70 and over in April. In May will be pretty much 60 and over but towards the end of May. And then if you have specific health conditions, high risk, that'll start in April. I'm just reading off my screen. Hot spots with high COVID incidents, that will come in April as well. And June is anyone who cannot work from home.
Okay.
I know that my council is quite concerned about our essential workers who work in our factories and our warehouses. And I know that they would like to prioritize some of them as well, right? So I've seen that Councillor Parrish has been talking about a motion with respect to employees of large manufacturers and large settings, large employment settings.
Well, let's talk about that. That was actually my next question about council. Bring that up.
Right. So, it's a wonderful idea, and I don't disagree with her. It's just not part of the framework that the province has outlined, right? So we can pass a motion and we can ask them to consider it, because with respect to the workplace outbreaks, that would be the best way to address them. The priority for the province is going by age group, and then those with specific health risks and congregate settings. So they're not on the provincial framework right now. Phase 2, they do describe anyone who's at risk, highest risks, people with the different conditions, health conditions, in phase 2. So that starts April.
So let's talk about something more positive then. Let's just say we are all vaccinated by June 20th, like General Hillier says. Okay.
Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? Can we have July? Can we have Canada Day is what you're asking.
So yeah, that's are we going to have summer events in July and August at Celebration Square and all over Mississauga?
Well, the problem with that is that it takes months to prepare some of those events. A lot of planning goes into them. So even with Canada Day, let's say everyone was vaccinated by June 1, to have a Canada Day on July 1, like maybe I could arrange some more fireworks, but that it would be pretty limited what we could arrange. I could come and give a speech if you want to come listen.
Fireworks and speech, the people will come listen.
maybe. So, maybe later in the summer, because it does take significant time to organize those events and make commitments up front for entertainment and food, etc. I think we're being optimistic that it be in the summer. I think the soonest you'd see anything like that would be fall.
Oh, okay. So you're not saying August, July,
September, October.
September, October events?
Maybe.
I can live with that. Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, you're going to see everybody
solid
booking
maybe. A solid maybe.
now and booking. They're booking Celebration right now.
Solid maybe.
Let's talk about if Mississauga votes in favor of allowing pot shops, will Mississauga attempt to control where they go and where?
So that is why we turned it down, because we asked for the ability to control where they go and how many. We didn't want a concentration of them in one area either. It was both. So we didn't want them near any sensitive use, such as daycares, community centers, schools, etc. And we didn't want a concentration of them in Streetsville, Port Credit, etc. But we have been told that won't be allowed, that won't be provided. We won't have that flexibility. We won't be given that authority to zone the cannabis stores. I know that we have been watching closely the experience of other municipalities, and clearly everything's okay. We haven't seen any grave problems. We've checked with the chief. There haven't been any serious issues. So probably before the summer recess, the report will come back to discuss it again. And, as I told you, I wouldn't bring it back unless we could win the votes, and we know that it would be receptive. Councillors would be receptive to it, and frankly, they didn't really want us bringing it back when we were consumed with how are we managing our operational deficit, how are we managing COVID, or there was so much else distracting us that we were focused on COVID and the framework and keeping people at home and protecting public health and people's well-being and getting the message out to the businesses. We had a lot going on. We just didn't want to distract from that. But I'm very hopeful that the vaccine has arrived. We're getting needles in arms, and by just before we recess in the summer, we can start turning our mind to other business, such as cannabis, retailing cannabis. And so I think, you know, closer to the summer, we can bring the report back and have a more open discussion about what the advantages and disadvantages are and what the experience has been in other municipalities, and knowing that we won't get the kind of zoning control that we had asked for, will we let the market decide? And I expect that they may pass it, but I don't want to speak for them because I've been wrong before.
So let's quickly get to some viewer questions here. And I get this question more than any other question. What is your plan for Mississauga's exit from Peel? And I got that literally 5 times.
Where were these people 2 years ago? Where were these people when I was like, Mississauga, let's go.
Literally,
let's
that question got asked
our
5
own
times
destiny.
today.
Where were they when I was asking people to take that little card, fill it out, and send it to the premier saying Mississauga should go our own way. We should control our own destiny. Where were they?
Let's be honest. I think COVID had a lot to do with it.
No,
right?
They were saying, what's the advantage to us? Well, now you see the advantages. I always saw the advantage. Of course, I want to be able to make my own decisions affecting my own city. You know, when we're ready to leave the gray zone to go to the red zone, and we don't want to be held back by a different municipality. This is part of being one region. You know, we want to control our own destiny. We want to make the decisions that affect our own city. We're the 3rd largest city in Ontario. And we're being held back because we're part of a greater region. Come on, folks. I wish they had spoken up 2 years ago. Maybe our campaign would have, you know, it would have been taken more seriously, because I felt like I was the only one out there saying, this is what we need to do. This is what we want to do. And people didn't understand why it was necessary. Things are fine as they are. Leave them alone. They weren't fine. They're not fine. And now you understand better. Why not?
Well, I think you get the support now. That's for sure.
All right. Well, you know what? There'll be a provincial election next year. So maybe we'll make it a, you know, an item that we ask for.
True. All right, let's, will school staff be priority for vaccinations? If so, when?
All the educators, right? Oh, I agree. I know they're very concerned. Not only the teachers, but all the educators, all the staff at all the schools, they're, you know, at risk because we know you know, this high risk situation. So I know that educators, transit drivers, grocery store workers would all like to be on the priority list. And, you know, this is something I think we'll probably have a conversation about at my council tomorrow, given that, you know, that there's a motion by one of the councillors that will go forward. So this is a good conversation to have. It is not part of the framework currently, other than, what did I say? People who cannot work from home between April and July.
Okay,
and so school teachers, so educators who have to go to school, as well as, you know, transit drivers, grocery store workers. These are people who cannot work from home. So that April to July is phase 2. They are in phase 2.
Okay. And then, sorry, one more question, really out of left field here. Do you know if Hurontario LRT will protect bike lanes?
It's a good question.
That is
I'm just trying to, you know, it is, because the LRT is running in the center lanes, not on the sides, but in the center. And we're going to have 2 lanes in each direction, plus the LRT running in each direction. And will that accommodate a bike lane? Let me get back to you on that, because
next week's
conversation, because we had to expropriate land to accommodate, you know, 2 lanes in each direction plus 2 lanes for the LRT. So whether that, because you need extra space to include I mean, you know, other than sharing the lane, which isn't ideal. I like separate lanes, of course, for cycling, right? Let me look into that. And I think the answer is that in some parts, yes, and other areas, no, right? Because other areas are narrower.
Okay, perfect. And those are all the questions I have.
All right, well, thank you. I'm just so happy that our numbers are holding steady and they're declining, and that our R factor is declining, and we are getting into a really great position. So let's start getting your viewers, your listeners, to start sending that message. Mississauga is getting ready. We're getting ready.
Getting ready for red.
Feel it. Ready for green. Red. Yeah. Well, look, I'm combined, right? Red and black this week. Red and gray.
I'll catch you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.